But by and large, it's your brand on the door.
Yeah.
It's ES Solar's brand that people care about or people will call. So we're really, really thoughtful about doing everything in our power to make sure that a customer has a phenomenal experience and thinks super highly of ES Solar.
Well, welcome to the Huddle. In this month's edition of What's the Answer, we're joined with John and Ed from the Lunar Battery Company. And we're going to talk a little bit about what makes Lunar special, kind of why they're the new kid on the block and making some pretty big ripples in our solar industry.
Thank you for having us.
I guess we should probably introduce.
Yeah,
I skipped that.
Let's
go ahead and introduce. This is Ed. Go ahead and introduce yourself, kind of your title, what you do.
Sure. Thank you, Gavin. Thanks so much for having us. My name is Ed Gunn. I'm VP of Revenue at Lunar Energy. So I sound kind of funny. I'm a Scottish transplant. Emigrated to California 2 years ago to help grow Lunar and build partnerships with awesome companies like ES Solar. So great to be here. Really excited about the podcast today.
Well, thank you. And this was I was excited to see that Ed was coming. He's probably one of the smoothest talkers that I've worked with. And so when we were asked to do this podcast, I was excited as Ed was going to join us just to kind of get that smooth talking voice on here. And then this is John.
Yeah, John Arnaud, Regional Director of Sales here at Lunar. So my core focus, I wake up every morning thinking about two things: our team of regional sales managers supporting our quickly growing network of channel partners, and then also I currently work with a handful of partners, ES Solar being one of them. So think about ES Solar a lot and what we can do to help grow and support your business. So as Ed said, really happy to be here and excited for talking more about all things Lunar and ES Solar.
Perfect. And I guess I should probably introduce myself. I haven't been on the podcast very much, but I am Gavin Campbell, and I'm the newly VP of operations here at ES Solar. And so previously worked in procurement and accounting. That's kind of how we met with John at the very beginning, and was, in some meetings with Ed and things like that. So now stepping into this role, it's been fun to see Lunar grow.
Yep.
I'm excited to see what's to come with both ES Solar and Lunar. So now kind of walk me through the history of Lunar and how you came to be.
All right. So history of Lunar in a couple of minutes. So first of all, we were founded 6 years ago. So we've been an established business actually for much longer than people realized. We were in R&D, building out the product, building out our end-to-end product for all of our own IP, all of our own manufacturing, all of our own design. And then we've been in market now for nearly 2 years. Obviously, we've been partnered with ES Solar for about 18 months, which is fantastic.
Yeah.
Now, the genesis of the story behind Lunar Energy, it was founded by Kunal Girotra, our CEO. And Kunal used to run Tesla Energy for Elon. And having been there for a few years, launching Powerwall 2, he learned a lot about the industry. And I think what he really wanted to do and what he saw an opening for is a new battery company that did two things, I think, differently. Firstly, a battery company that was obsessed with the channel partners, the installers. Obsessed with the installers. All right. So that's a founding principle for Lunar. Everything we do, we try and focus our efforts and energies around installers. We'll talk about end customers, your end customers, in a minute. And I think the second aspect is, aside from Tesla, there was no credible, focused, dedicated battery company in the market. You had other battery companies that had specialized in one little component and then it tried to get into batteries. Other battery companies that had specialized in a different type of component and then tried to get into batteries. So building Lunar from the ground up to be not just a focused battery company, but a focused battery company that also is obsessed about its installers is the genesis. And I think one other piece here is we don't see ourselves as, quote unquote, just a hardware business. We are a hardware company, a software company, a firmware company, we're a people company, a process company, a partnership company. We don't think you can win and provide like a credible service to partners like ES Solar if you just frame yourself as a hardware company. Because helping ES Solar build a business around our products and services is so much more about just giving you great hardware.
100%. I think that's one of the one of the first things that made me most excited when we met with Lunar, obviously the software side of it. Like, it's huge to have your own product, but also your own software, especially when everything's integrated into that software. And we'll probably get into a little bit more of those details later, so I don't spill beans there.
100%.
But it was cool to see kind of the focus, and you mentioned it, and I want to kind of touch base on that. What was the driving factor of not just jumping into manufacture and sales? What was the 6-year process? I guess 4 years of really the R&D process. What was kind of the main driving factor behind kind of, slowing that cart and giving yourself times to be prepared to enter the market?
One approach, which you touched on, is hire a ton of salespeople, go and sell the bejesus out of your product, and then figure out how to deliver and deploy.
Yep.
And then build the product, right?
Yep.
We took a completely different approach. We spent an incredible amount of time and money. We've raised nearly $500 million now. And we've spent, a lot of people ask me, Ed, where does $500 million go? Well, it goes on lots of really expensive machinery and R&D, and lots of really talented people who build out hardware, software, firmware, and everything in between. So we knew we had the battery market. When we came to market in 2024 into 2025, it's a relatively mature market. There have been battery, sometimes we think it's mature, sometimes we think we're right at the beginning of the curve. But there's a level of maturity there where you just get one chance to make that first impression. And unlike maybe other battery companies that have launched in the previous 10 years, where they, frankly, we think, use their customers as guinea pigs, we're completely the antithesis of that. It's so important to come to market with a credible, reliable, safe product, of course, that can be sold really easily, that can be installed really easily. We'll get into that later.
Yeah.
But to get to market with a safe, reliable product that, quote unquote, just works, that's our favorite thing. No headaches, it just works. Takes an incredible amount of R&D.
Yeah, I love that.
It's worth reiterating, the Lunar system is a complete product ecosystem that we've built in-house. There's a fast, easy way to do things and the right way to do things. And we felt like building this ecosystem where the parts are designed to work together and look like they're supposed to be sitting next to one another is the right, but probably harder way of doing things. And certainly it takes a little bit more time. Think of Apple.
Yeah.
If you have an Apple Watch, you probably have an iPhone and a MacBook. All of those things are designed to work together. That's kind of the experience that we're looking to deliver to customers.
I love that. Well, to piggyback off of that, let's talk a little bit about some of the key features that the homeowners would be excited about with the Lunar Battery.
That's something that we think about a lot. Really, that the end customer influences not just the hardware, but certainly the software. In the end, customers will have a battery installed and they'll be really excited about it first couple of months, and then they'll forget about the battery that's on the wall. They live with the customer app every day. That is one of the areas that we think we really differentiate, is a really intuitive user experience that isn't just meant for people that wake up thinking about solar and storage every day, but for everybody else. Now, for those people that we jokingly refer to as an energy nerd, so to speak, all the data's there, a few clicks away, but we want to give customers a really seamless experience when they're interacting with their system. Getting back to the hardware side of things, I had mentioned before, all-in-one product ecosystem. But you look at some of the most recent, call it feature enhancements or innovations at Lunar, things like the Eaton Smart Breaker integration.
Yeah.
We think about the hardware aspect of things, not just what does that customer need today, which is a battery system that meets their needs today. How can that system grow with the customer over time? Things like Eaton AbleEdge Smart Breakers allow customers to continue their electrification journey by adding smart breakers without having to re-architect their entire storage system, or even the modularity of the Lunar system, being able to grow with the customer over time as their needs change. So all of those things, I would say it's something, the end customer experience is something that we obsess over, which is why it's so important for us also to find great partners like ES Solar who also care about the things that we care about to make sure we're delivering a great end customer experience.
100%. You touched on a couple of things that I will kind of bookmark to talk about a little bit later, but just with the AbleEdge, the Eaton Smart Breakers, I think that's something huge. I think you guys were the first ones that actually had that ready to go, that integration within your app, within the battery that was functional. And I'll talk about the first time I saw the Lunar system later, but I think that's just one point that I think made you guys stand out for me right at the very beginning, is having that. Not only does that affect the customer and how that affects them during outages and gives them the ability to kind of control their system for, the energy nerd that might want to see that, or even just somebody that wants to make sure that their family's safe during an outage. That's kind of the culture here in Utah that we kind of look at. And so that was something that was exciting. But let's talk a little bit about during a power outage. What can a customer expect as far as disruptions, or how will the system function during a power outage?
Well, it's really business as usual. So any system today, that transfer time from on-grid to off-grid should be seamless. It's really about what happens next. So the customer will get a push notification to their phone. There's been an outage. I live in Sacramento. We've had a lot of storms. I think over the past, 8 months or so, I've had 4 or 5 outages, some longer than others, but I get a push notification. I see my system has switched from on-grid to off-grid. And then you can jump into the app and you can start to interact with your system. So as we had mentioned before, very intuitive, but speaking to customers in very plain language, insights like, based on all the things that are happening right now, solar plus storage, you've got about, call it 18 hours of runway. With the Enable Edge integration, in one app, the customer can shed loads, or they can automatically shed loads when the grid goes down. But what's really neat to see is when a customer goes in and they turn off one of those loads, everything repopulates. And now they've extended their battery runway from 18 hours to 36 hours. So they can really plan for those events. Something that we've also added recently, which is pretty neat, is Storm Watch. So if there is a big storm anticipated, we will allow that system to proactively go into something like a backup or reserve mode, and it'll charge however it needs to charge to make sure that the customer is well protected going into that event, fully topped off. So really great, easy customer experience. And an experience that the customer can interact with in a really seamless way.
Yeah, and that's huge. I think we'll kind of smooth over that, but those 2 points right there are massive as far as like our customer concerns and what we're looking to bring to the customer. The goal always being 100% customer satisfaction. Right. That those tools give us the ability to educate the customer on how to better use their system so that they are more satisfied with that system. And so it was, again, the first time that we met with Lunar, John, you were here, and a few of your other colleagues, and Ed was back in California, right?
That's right, in California.
So, and we watched the demonstration of these, manufactured outages, and got to play with the app ourselves, and to watch, us be able to turn our loads off and instantly get feedback of like, hey, you have 2 more hours of battery, or, whatever that means, I think is massive. And that was one of the things for it to work, like seamlessly work instantly, and then update, I think is massive. And then, for people like me that aren't necessarily the energy nerds, when I put the system on my home, and I don't think I've ever opened my app since then, in the background, the AI and what you guys have built into the battery for it to prep for outages and storms coming, only just better delivers a customer experience, both on, manufacturer side and then on our side, the install side.
100%.
It's so important. The set it and forget it approach to it. Customers aren't always going to be home if and when the grid goes down. So just to have that process automated so that they know when they get home, they're going to have a healthy state of charge, and they'll be able to make it through that outage without unneeded disruption is really important to us.
I think going back to that customer experience piece, just to reiterate, we can cater to all of the energy nerds in the world. If you want it, we've got it. If you want to click, swipe, and go deep into that really rich customer experience through the app, we've got it for you. But we know 90-something% of ES Solar's customers, what are they? They're just people. They're just people. They want to have lower cost energy. They want to have energy they can rely on from an ES Solar that they trust. And so we're kind of obsessive about, because our product you have carried our product over the threshold into the customer home, right? But by and large, it's your brand on the door. It's ES Solar's brand that people care about, or people will call. So we're really, really thoughtful about doing everything in our power to make sure that customer has a phenomenal experience and thinks super highly of ES Solar. So when John was explaining his own personal experience of outages with the Lunar system, By the way, I get texts from John whenever there's an outage up in Sacramento.
Yeah, look at this.
Hey, look at this. Hey, look at this screenshot. How cool is that? I just love, honestly, John's number one fanboy. As he should be, right? But I guess the point is, one of the bits of feedback we've had from sales teams is, oh wow, this Eaton load control and this outage protection, it just works, number one. Yeah. Number two, it's just so easy to manipulate, understand, and because through the customer app, we talk to people like people, it becomes a really neat referral engine. Yeah, so some sales teams members in your team have said, this customer app is just like helping me refer new business, get referrals from new business. So that's just music to our ears. Yeah. And a lot of that has come out of awesome feedback from, we've been working together for a wee while now, but the awesome feedback across your sales team, your operations team, your leadership teams, it's allowed us to put that learning into the experiences that we're ultimately putting in front of your customers.
For sure. So if you were kind of just to wrap this all up, what were the main focuses for Lunar as far as the focus on the homeowner? What was the focus on the experience for the homeowner when you were designing this system?
I think it all comes back to that post-install experience. So creating a really intuitive way for the customer to interact with their system. I had mentioned before, being able to evolve with that customer as their needs change over time. And then I think something that we, really pride ourselves on is having in-house customer support. So if a customer ever does have an inquiry, ES Solar can always have first right of refusal for that first engagement, but we are there on standby, usually no more than 1 or 2 rings before a customer gets a hold of somebody. So always love to hear from people. Sometimes answering some questions helps create a really kind of a lunar evangelist in many ways. Yeah. So
that's awesome.
And I think let's not forget, we talked a lot about customer experience today, which we love. And I think it's just the fulcrum of a great end-to-end experience with ES Solar and obviously your partner in Lunar Energy. But this is about dollars as well. Yeah. How the other huge area of focus for us is how we can put more dollars in your customers' hands at the end of the month, or how can we reduce the dollars going out of their back pocket to their utility, for example. And so really simply put, some of the software engineering we put into the back end of the Lunar system is in 2 parts. One, you earn, one, you save. So you save more with Lunar AI and you earn more with Lunar VPP. Simply put. So Lunar AI is all about optimizing that customer's battery behavior against their prevailing utility rate, their tariff. It works really well in some funky tariff areas, and it works less well if there's just straight flat tariffs, flat rates. We all know where those locations are. But that's save more with Lunar AI. So passively, just for the customer saying, yep, I want to put my battery into Lunar AI mode, that battery is just going to be working behind the scenes, almost like a day trader. All right. It's just going to be recouping any savings it can from optimization. Then moving to Lunar VPP and earning more with Lunar VPP, that's about the ability for your sales teams to put dollars in your customers' hands through Lunar's really easy VPP onboarding. And, we're one of the most widely deployed VPP companies across the US. Again, save more with Lunar AI, make more or earn more with Lunar VPP.
I love that. Well, let's talk a little bit more about our partnership and why was it important for you guys to look for partners like ES, especially in the very beginning. Having been partners for 18 months, you guys have kind of been to market for 2 years. We've almost been there kind of the whole time. What were you looking for in a partner for an installer, and why was it important for Lunar to find people such as ES Solar?
First of all, the kind of genesis story of the partnership. We met a couple of your team and we were at an event where we were all talking about VPPs. And so Lunar was at the event because Lunar is a super innovative VPP oriented battery company. Again, talking about how much money can we earn your customers. And ES Solar was at the event because you're a super innovative installer who's really focused about programs and optimizing the value you can drive for your customers. So the alignment from the very first day was just extraordinary. It was just so on point. From that kind of basis of innovation and that crossover around that VPP space, we started talking. And now this is where we at Lunar, we think about, well, which installers do we really want to partner with? Because it's not that we're selective, it's that I'd say deliberate. We're really deliberate about who we want to work with. And I think that's the case. Certainly I've seen that's the case with ES Solar. I simply summarize it as if you have a really good online rating from customer service records, if you have a star rating that's in the kind of 4.5 to 4.6 up to 4.9 rating, that's who we want to work with. We don't trust any 5-star reviews. So if you're a company with 5 stars, we don't trust it. 4.5, 4.6, 4.7 is just ultra believable, ultra trustworthy, especially if you've got lots of reviews.
Yeah.
And it sounds like a really simple answer, but I like to see this as the metric on top of which all other metrics have to be in place. Companies that can deliver what ES Solar can deliver in terms of amazing customer success, customer experience, those companies know how to hire people, know how to hire talented people. They know how to retain those people through great training, great, internal communications like the huddle.
Yeah.
And because ultimately ES Solar's people are what is delivering that 5-star experience or 4.6, 7-star experience. And then you also know how to work with the right OEM partners. You need to know how to grill your OEM partners, how to really put us through our paces so we can deliver a great experience for you. You know how to sell. You know how to sell diligently, thoughtfully, safely. You know how to install diligently, thoughtfully, safely. And honestly, I can summarize that in how good is your customer service rating?
Yeah.
It's easier sometimes as a small company to have a really high customer service rating, but ES Solar is cranking.
Yeah.
You guys are multi-state, you're multi-region, you got sales teams, operations teams all over the place.
Yep.
Maintaining that high rigor at the scale ES Solar is doing it is pretty extraordinary.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would agree with that, Ed. It is a rare and unique blend, being able to deliver such an incredible customer outcome and experience while also doing the volumes that ES Solar is doing, multiple states. One of the things that I found the most inspiring about our partnership so far is the collaboration that we've had with your team right out of the gate. So over this time, this 18 months or so, feedback from yourself, the rest of the leadership team. It's really important for Lunar as we're growing. We always want to be better, and there's been a really good cadence of communication, collaboration through that process. So, I would say, as it relates specifically to ES Solar, all of those things, but really it comes down to this common mission, which is 100% customer satisfaction. Everything kind of winds up to that. So
why do you think it's important, and maybe you've found success outside of, but I feel like at ES Solar, we've aligned kind of values and kind of our way to go to business aligns very well with Lunar. One of those things being that you guys talked about at the very beginning was kind of everything in-house or vertically integrated, whatever you want to call it. Why do you feel like it's important to partner with companies that are, mimicking that as well, to where we are the sales force, the install force, and then ultimately the customer service on the back end, through different programs like bringing, customers that their installer or sales company have gone out of business. We're bringing them into our fleet management through Lunar's fleet management and things like that. Why do you feel like it's important to find companies like that?
Yeah, I think a big part of it is just consistency and communication, expectation setting with the end customer. I realize often you can have the best hardware product in the market, but if it's not being sold and installed in the right way, setting the right expectations with customers, you can run into some problems. So I think a lot of that is avoided in that way. And again, just coming back to that internal collaboration that we've had with ES Solar, being able to access all important stakeholders and collaborate and build together. It seems a very efficient process with the team.
Yeah, I think that it just hitting on that point around communications back to us, like that feedback from the ES Solar team is extraordinary. Because you're vertically integrated, feedback from the field, from install, can be cross-referenced with some sales feedback.
Yeah.
And oftentimes there'll be some symbiosis there, right? That we can learn even more from. So it's almost like the different pockets of feedback you get from all the different arms that ES Solar does, they both mutually reinforce and they are more than the sum of their parts. So it's phenomenal from an OEM's perspective to be able to get that level of engagement from one of our partners. And it means ultimately means we can deliver a better service to you. That's what it's all about.
As we've gone through, just kind of earned a little more stripes from ES Solar. As we've gone through this, what's kind of impressed you most as far as our installation quality professionalism, and then, obviously that leads into the feedback that we're giving you.
Well, I will say, so one of the things that Lunar does when we onboard a new customer, new installation partner, we have field service engineers that will go out usually to the first 3, 4, 5, 6 installs, not to govern or critique, but really just to act as a support mechanism. We feel that in-field training can in many ways surpass, behind the screen training. Ryan May, our field service engineer that's been supporting ES Solar, raises his hand every time he has an opportunity to go out to an ES Solar Lunar install, because he loves working with your team. Great people. There is a consistency that happens on the job site every time, a level of detail, every conduit bend, where Lunar Bridge should be installed. All that, I think, lends itself to a really positive outcome for the customer. I think in general, the team just really enjoys working with ES Solar because of the level of professionalism, both before the install and then certainly during. So all of those things, I think, really have stood out to Lunar. Really one of those things that we feel makes ES Solar a little bit different in the industry. Everything from that all the way through commissioning and ES Solar's constant engagement with the customer to make sure that they know how the project is moving through the queue, why things are being installed a certain way, and all that stuff is really important. We learn from ES Solar every time we're out on a job site, which is awesome.
I think to add to that, ES Solar does the small things right and the small things well, and those small things add up to the big thing, which is driving 100% customer success. And from a partner's perspective, all of your people do what they say they're going to do. It sounds so simple and almost silly for me to even raise, but it's kind of miraculous in the solar storage industry, in the energy tech industry, that people do what they say they will. So long may that continue. Long may the partnership continue with ES Solar, and long may that continue from ES Solar. And it's something certainly that Lunar has learned from you. Like, just do what you say you're going to do, and we want to be known for that as well.
Oh, we appreciate that.
Yeah.
What's the future look like for Lunar? What are the next steps, and what are you most excited for?
At Lunar, the story for 2026 and beyond is deliberate growth. So it's growth, but it's not growth at all costs. It's very, very deliberate growth. And so with that, we mean new products, new product features, because we don't stand still on innovation. And I know ES Solar doesn't either. And it means new geographies, new territories. So maybe taking them in turn. I won't say too much about some new products, but there are some very, very cool new products that are coming down the pipeline that I know we've shared behind the scenes with ES Solar.
I better be really careful. I'll try not to as well.
So John, you be careful on that as well. But very, very exciting, that speaks to whole home optimization of devices, right? So that's new products, new features. We have done a pretty good job actually at sharing our feature roadmap, our product roadmap with the ES Solar team. So there is a whole host of features in terms of software features, some firmware tweaks, some software platform features, some customer app features, new additions to the hardware itself. We have for example, on the hardware side, we have a new inverter coming, a more powerful inverter coming at the end of the year. That will then unlock a whole raft of new customer benefits, customer value props.
Yeah.
And then new territories, new geographies. So again, going into deliberate growth, I get calls all the time. When are you coming to X? When are you coming to Y? When are you going to be up in South Florida? When are you going to be in New England? We could grow much faster than we do, but the reason we've been deliberate with our growth is so we can, every step of the way, honor that Lunar brand commitment to our partners, to the ES Solars. So we're just launched in Texas, as an example. So we're in California, Utah. We just launched in Texas. Just saw Brandon outside talking about the Texas launch as well.
Yep. And we got our first 4 customers on deck and ready to go. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So it's already working. The ES Solar Lunar partnership's already working there. And then we'll be working closely with the team about some other territories that we're launching.
Perfect.
I think maybe one other thing that we're excited by is we keep winning deals with utilities and CCAs, community choice aggregators, municipally owned utilities, co-ops. And we win those deals for deploying battery and software. Sometimes we're winning deals to deploy just our software platform. Yeah. And a recent example is Ava Community Energy. So Lunar has been working closely with the Ava team to roll out their battery BPP.
Okay.
And ES Solar is a fantastic partner in that in California. There are a lot more of those wins coming that we're announcing soon, which gives your sales team an amazing increasing their surface area to sell more to those customers that really need it in those territories.
Love it. Real quickly, before we jump over to whatever comments that you have left, maybe speak to the camera on this one, but tell the customer a little bit more like what a VPP program is, what it means, what the benefit is to the customer, just because I think it's becoming a hot topic, a hot word in solar and battery, but maybe educate the customer really quickly on what the VPP, what it means for them.
Great question. And maybe, John, you can get a go in the camera as well afterwards.
Sure.
On VPPs. So for all the ES Solar customers, a VPP or a battery VPP is super simple to understand. You've bought a battery, you bought your solar, you've done a great job, you're saving money. And you bought it from ES Solar, so you've done an even better job. Well done. Now, VPPs give you an opportunity to earn more money on that initial purchase, which improves your return on investment. And simply put, it is where your battery, if you decide, and this is completely opt-in, your battery can participate with other batteries in that area. So it might be in the utility area you live in, or even in the subdivision that you live in. And when those batteries, every now and again, those batteries will be called, and that means a central bit of software is saying, hey, customer battery, are you available? And can you push power to the grid for 1 hour, 2 hours, 15 minutes in some cases? And the customer will be compensated for that. So you can earn hundreds of extra dollars a year, and in some territories, even north of $1,000 extra dollars a year just by signing up to these VPP programs. So totally opt-in, very easy to understand. Essentially, it's more money in your back pocket at the end of every month.
Love it.
Yeah, I would say quickly to that effect, well summarized. The challenge, though, is that sometimes these programs exist and homeowners aren't aware of them. And one of the things that ES Solar has done so well in every market that you serve is a really high caliber consultant at the kitchen table that is educating customers on these programs, the pros, the cons, how to enroll, what comes out of it when enrollment is done. Mm-hmm. And that's one of the things I've been so impressed by the team as far as understanding, even your California team, they could drive 2 miles and it's a different program and they have to educate themselves and then be able to educate your customers through that process. So it's really important to find the right company to work with a team that is willing not only to educate the customer, but then to whatever extent is necessary, work through the administrative back-end process to do that. With VPPs, Lunar will handle the bulk of that, but there are other programs that ES Solar helps customers enroll in that can be a bit cumbersome. So your customers find a good partner in your team for sure.
Love it. Well, we'll give you your last couple minutes here to talk a little bit about what you're excited for the future of Lunar.
Yeah, Ed touched on a lot of really great things that are in the hopper. I think a lot about the kitchen table sales experience. So what happens? It is not easy to get in front of a customer and to win their business. There's a lot of installers out there. There's also a sea of batteries that a customer can choose. So when I think about what's to come, I think about all of those very same things, these features that either exist or are coming for the benefit of the customer are also great talking points at the kitchen table so that ES Solar can lean into your own company story, but why you choose certain products and how that differentiates versus some other things out there. So I have to be careful that I don't share too much, but it's not just
share all you want.
Right. The Enable Edge integration, that is a great talking point at the kitchen table. You can see that experience evolving over time. Stormwatch is another one, but all of these enhancements that we're doing throughout the course of the year, those will become available not only to new customers, but also existing customers. And it's just making a better and better experience over time. There is this utopia that I think about a lot, which is the 4th of July. Mm-hmm. And all of the solar customers obviously are sitting around the pool or the barbecue sharing their app. And that's where all these, I know it happens somewhere. I certainly try to do it on the 4th of July, but all that is to say, we want to create an end customer that's excited to continue to talk about their system and the great things that it's doing. There's nothing better when your lights are on, an outage happens, and your phone starts to ring saying, hey, what's going on over there? So again, just all of these enhancements that will come to the customer experience that ultimately will make this a better, more exciting sale for the folks that are out earning customers in their business.
I love it. Well, yeah, I think for what it's worth, for what you guys have talked about today as far as Lunar's vision, what you guys have chosen to focus on for both the homeowner and the installer. I think you guys have delivered an incredible product. I think you talk about the 4th of July vision that you have. I have often talked about that experience that we had, in the first demo with Lunar. Just again, like you handed the phone to Terry, our VP of construction, and he's just pushing buttons. Like doesn't know what he's doing, but it's working. I'm watching the lights go out behind Ed. I'm watching the app update immediately. And so those are things that for us as an installer, like you said, setting the correct expectations for us to be able to say, hey, this is what's going to happen, for it then to work. And it just creates that experience that is so much more meaningful for the customer. I'm excited for more customers to have that in their hands. And then just as far as the installation goes, the ease of installation, how quickly we can install it. You guys, I feel like, are right at the forefront of technology and what's happening in solar. And so I'm just excited to deploy more Lunar batteries to create that, vision that you have for the 4th of July. And just to continue to deliver on, that customer experience. So thank you guys for, I guess, John and Ed, thank you for joining us on this week's huddle. And we're excited for more of what's to come.
Awesome. Thanks for having us.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you.